What's up, college football peeps? Sorry I'm running late here. Technical difficulties. I'm in a hotel room
Can you
tonight.
hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Can't hear.
Go into your settings and make sure your audio's on. I'm joined by Outlaw of College Football, JPC. Say hello, JPC.
What's up, brother? Finally. Finally.
There we go.
OTF has come back to get a shot of college football knowledge.
There we go.
Woo!
And I apologize. I got my overlay covering up your cowboy hat, but
It's all good.
Sorry, y'all. I couldn't hear you if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Dan. Can you hear me?
Okay. Now I can. Yeah. Sorry
All
about that.
And folks, at the bottom of the screen, I got my buddy Dan. Big Dan T is what most of you know him as. He's a channel member here at Couz's Corner as well as Outlaw. He is as well. As one of the perks of being a channel member, occasionally I will allow my members to come on and chat it up with us. And we lost Outlaw. Something happened. He must be having technical difficulty as well. Let me see what we got in the chat here. We got Andrew Starcher. Thank you. Sorry, Andrew. Didn't have time to do a video today because I've been on the road all day, so I decided to do a live stream tonight while I was in a hotel room with nothing else to do. What's up, Joey Foster? Thanks for hopping on. Everybody smash the like button like Joey says. Do what Joey says. He's the boss. All right. Christian says, on Wisconsin. Charge on and let's go App State.
Yeah.
Ed Darty says, what's up, Couz? Hello from Mountaineer family. What's up, Ed? Outlaw's back with us. What happened, man?
Nothing. I just wanted to be on the bottom.
Oh. Okay. That makes sense.
We know something personal about him now.
Little trick there, boy.
It's TMI, brother.
That's right. I like her on top.
Gamecock Chuck, what's going on, buddy? I'm glad to see you back on here, my man. Curtis is on here. I really don't see Neal Brown lasting the entire year. Man, you're jumping ahead, Curtis. Lou Holtz for head coach, and I'll pass on that. He's a little old, I believe.
Yeah.
Joey says there's 20 million reasons that Neal Brown will not be fired, and it only drops to 15.5 after this year.
They didn't stop Nebraska. They only had 3 weeks, and they still clustered.
That to me was insane.
That's crazy as hell.
TJ Fleming. Apparently, they had a booster come to him, which we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to jump ahead.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on some of these comments before we get started. David Parsons says, let's bring in Hugh Freeze and what's good. What's good right now, football-wise, not much, brother. 71 Blue Hawks, what's up, man? I think you're new on here, man. I don't recognize that name. If you're new to the live stream, thanks for hopping on here. Yeah, 16.5, Joe, you're right. I wasn't going to correct you, man. 15.5, 16.5, you know. Once you get up to that kind of money, man, to me, that's not a lot of difference.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get into the topic. First off, JPC, tell everybody where they can find you at on YouTube.
I'm on YouTube, Outlaw of College Football. I'm also on Twitter at OCF Productions, and we are the home of the Common Joe and Sally in the Know, even more so than all those media talking heads.
There we go. And I've got his Twitter handle at the top of the page, as well as mine. And I also have my Instagram handle at Couz's Corner 206 scrolling along the bottom as well. And like I said, if you guys want to participate, if you're a channel member on here, I don't see any other channel members, but if a channel member hops on here as one of the perks, they are allowed to hop on to this live stream and chat with us. So let's get to the first topic of the show, and that is Scott Frost at Nebraska. Dan T, I'll start with you, brother. Who do you think would be the best replacement?
Well,
or replacements for Scott Frost at Nebraska?
Yeah. I don't know that they'd be on the radar, but the first name that always pops in my head is Sean Clark, App State.
Yep.
He's done last week speaks for itself, you know.
Yeah.
So great tradition. So There's a few other names, but that's the first one I would come up with.
Yeah, and look what he did the week before. I mean, they lost to North Carolina, but they put up, 60 points or 61 points or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and he was like he outcoached Mac Brown,
Yeah, and Jimbo Fisher.
And Jimbo, yeah.
I mean, what's that tell you about the guy? So and
he deserves a shot.
And he's from West Virginia. Another great West Virginia coach from West Virginia, believe it or not.
Okay. We put him out.
We do, man. We do. All right, JPC, what about you? Who do you think?
Well, I mean, Sean Clark is a good name to look at. The only thing is with App State and the coaches that go through App State, it sort of reminds me of Murray State's basketball program. It's just like that place, off and on tends to win at that sport, So the only reason I'm not sold on Sean Clark as of yet is because I think he's still dealing with Drankowitz's program that was in place before he got there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But a guy that pops in my head a lot, that a lot of people do not think Nebraska has a chance at, is Lane Kiffin. But the thing with Lane Kiffin is he was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. A lot of people don't realize that. So, I mean, if I was them, I would at least call him. He may turn him down. But, I mean, to me, Nebraska's tradition and whatnot is just as good as Oxford, Mississippi, And then, of course, you have the Matt Campbell and Gary Patterson, Luke Pickle, Chris Kleiman, and Mark Stoops have all been mentioned.
Right. Makes sense.
I
like those names, man.
Yeah.
And Lance Leipold is another name that's come up.
At Kansas, yeah.
Yep. And I didn't know this. What's that, Dan?
No, so yeah, he's a heck of a coach.
Absolutely. I mean, look what he did to West Virginia last week. And what was impressive, and I didn't know this until I listened to our coach's press conference yesterday. Of all the snaps they ran in that game, I think it was 49 snaps or something like that total they ran on offense. Only 4 times did West Virginia see the same alignment.
Formation, yeah.
Same formation.
Mm-hmm.
4 times out of 49 snaps. And then we wonder why our defense was so confused.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I like Matt Campbell and Chris Kleiman is because both of those coaches have recruited to that geographical area. They've been able to win at that area.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Kleiman was at North Dakota State.
Right.
He's always been able to win in that geographical area. A lot of people say it's hard to recruit there because of the weather. But these guys have been able to do it. Matt Campbell at Iowa State and Chris Kleiman at K-State.
I think Matt Campbell would be Kleinman, I think, is comfortable, but Matt Campbell, I think, in the last couple of years I think he's ready to move, in my opinion. But I don't know about Kleinman, but
it might even be a candidate for West Virginia. I mean,
I never know. I just think Campbell's name pops up for almost every job, and I think there's a reason for that. I think his agent keeps putting his name out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'd be doing that. I mean, obviously he can use it as leverage with Iowa State, but 2, maybe he's looking for a change. Maybe he feels like he's got maybe he feels like he's maxed out at Iowa State. He's reached his peak because of the talent he's able to get there, right?
Yeah.
And he feels like if he goes to Nebraska, he can get better talent.
Yeah.
Tell you 2 names that I really don't like that keep popping up, and that's Urban Meyer and Ed Orgeron. Those 2 guys are corrupt when it comes to morals. If I was at any program out there, I'd stay away from Urban Meyer and Ed Orgeron. Urban Meyer might come in there and get you a national championship or have a couple of good seasons, but then it's always been with Urban Meyer, man. It's always after about 3 or 4 years, you start seeing cracks and all sorts of crazy stuff going on.
It's about Urban. It's not about the team or the university. It's always about him.
Exactly. That's why I saw a thing on Twitter today, and I don't know if this was true, if this was from a fake account. I don't know who it was. Somebody had Husker in their name, but I don't know if they were just a fan. So this could just be somebody being stupid or trolling. But somebody said Urban Meyer was seen in Lincoln, Nebraska today. But now who knows if that's true? Did you see that?
Every time a job opening comes up, they claim to have seen somebody, and they go in there and Photoshop some crap.
Yeah. So I don't know. It may not be true.
I'm betting he was holding hands with Jim Harbaugh too when they saw him.
Yeah. David Z says Coach Campbell at Iowa State wouldn't leave the clones for North Nebraska, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Outside of Big Ten money, it's a big step down.
Really?
I guess you can make that argument the last few years, but Nebraska traditionally, I mean, you know.
I think if the Nebraska boosters have enough money to
Exactly.
buy someone out 3 weeks out of a contract that's going to go down, I think they got the money to get Matt Campbell.
Well, let me ask y'all: do y'all think there are any boosters or school or fans who want to win right now more than Nebraska?
Probably not.
As a West Virginia fan, I do, but you know, Nebraska has been bad for a long time. They're not used to that. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, the fact that they let him go within 3 weeks of his buyout dropping down by $7.5 million tells you how bad they want to win now.
That's just crazy, man. That's just like, man, how can they afford to just throw that kind of money away, man? They must be really, really rich.
Here's what I think. I think they've had a booster or some boosters come to them and say, you let him go now, we'll pay the money. I think that's what's otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me.
I don't think they should make an emotional hire either. I don't think that they should let the players dictate the hire completely. And now the players should have a say, but you shouldn't let them dictate the process like Notre Dame did with Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
I agree.
That was a bad hire from the start.
That's why I don't think Mickey Joseph should be the guy.
No. It reminds me of West Virginia hiring, you know what I'm talking about, Couz?
Bill Stewart, yep.
I love Bill Stewart, but he should never been the head coach. He wasn't the head coach.
That was an emotional hire. You're right.
He won that Sugar Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl game, and everybody, you know, got everybody all up in their feels. And the fan base, which the fan base don't need to really make the decision either, to be honest.
No.
But I mean, we all have who we want, but you know, we don't know the ins and outs of it. And we're not in the interviews, right?
Yeah.
But the fan base wanted Doc Holliday. A lot of people wanted Doc Holliday, and a lot of people wanted the guy who coached at Tennessee and got fired. I cannot think. I think he's at Alabama now, isn't he?
Yeah, he came from Alabama originally. What was his
JPC,
name?
you probably know who it is.
Butch Jones?
Yes.
No.
Because Butch Jones was on staff at West Virginia for a year or two.
Yeah.
Under Rodriguez.
And people don't realize Butch actually won a lot of games before Tennessee dismissed him. I mean, it wasn't like he was a scrub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee got caught up in that. Everybody tries to keep up with Alabama in the SEC, and that's just dumb.
Yeah.
So do you think that the Notre Dame situation is Marcus Freeman, or do you think that Brian Kelly was like, okay, this stuff's about to hit the fan. I'm fixing to get the hell out of here.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah. I don't know enough about Notre Dame football, to be honest.
I don't know a whole lot either, but based on what I've read and heard and what I have kept up with, just my opinion, because I heard that Marshall pushed Notre Dame around up front in that game Saturday.
I watched it. They did, absolutely.
And if Marshall's pushing them, if Marshall is pushing around Notre Dame up front, there's a problem.
Yep.
So either they weren't motivated to play, or they're just not that good.
Yeah. I didn't get to watch your game. How was it that y'all lost in overtime by 13 points? I've never seen it before.
We were down. They got the ball first in overtime, and they scored a touchdown. And so when it was our turn, JT Daniels threw a pick six.
Okay.
See, I assumed, because I've never seen that happen before, I assumed that once they called it, it'd be a dead ball and they would just blow the whistle and call the game, but they didn't.
That's what I thought too.
They let him run it in, which I saw somebody comment on Twitter that was uncalled for. I'm like, it ain't called for. Dude, Kansas won 2 games last year. Let the dude score. Let them have their moment. He earned it.
It's like Steve Spurrier said, it's your job to stop us, right?
Yeah, don't throw a pick six and it won't happen. I mean, I had no issue with it.
Yeah,
I was just pissed off that we should have never been in that situation, man.
No.
We had Kansas stopped. It was 3rd and 5. They threw a screen pass We snuffed it out. We stopped them at the line of scrimmage. It would have been 4th and 5 in overtime. We would have forced them to kick a 45-yard field goal with a kicker that's not that good. So at best, they would have been up by 3 points.
Yeah.
But on that play, our stupid senior defensive end now, a senior,
Austin,
committed a roughing the passer penalty.
let me ask you about that, Couz. They roughing the passer. Well, do you think that was late?
Yeah, I think it was late. Well, I didn't. I'll be honest. I was at the game, but I had my head turned or something and didn't see it happen.
Okay.
But I've listened to multiple podcasts, and everybody says it was. And even Neal Brown himself said it was a penalty. He had about a step and a half to hold up, and he didn't.
Oh yeah.
Neal Brown said it was totally selfish.
Yeah.
What he did.
By the book, it was definitely a penalty. But these, I don't know. When I played, it's a different game. It just. We beat ourselves. We didn't deserve to win the game. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you can't touch anybody anymore. But I don't know.
Kansas, people make fun of Kansas, but Kansas showed signs of life last year. They beat Texas, and almost beat Oklahoma.
Yep.
And then the administration at Kansas give him another year extension to his contract, so they've seen something there for Leopold. So, like Couz was saying, I don't expect him to be at Kansas for long if he keeps this kind of stuff going.
Yeah, Jordan Leslie, our defensive coordinator, in his pregame press conference earlier in the week said he had this game circled on his calendar. He said this game made him really nervous.
Yeah.
Now we know why.
Did y'all ever watch Buffalo when he was the coach there?
I did not.
I watched a few games. He's a coach. I mean, not just Kansas. He had Buffalo rolling. You see, they in a bowl game whenever Neal Brown was at Troy, and they beat Buffalo, but barely.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Let me address his comment. Reached his peak at Iowa State. How's that lazy, David? I don't get it. What's lazy about that? It was just my opinion, man. And I didn't say he had. I said maybe he thinks he has. I don't know what's lazy.
I think it's still at Iowa State. It's probably 8-4. I mean, that's not a lazy take. That's just a fact, Jack. I mean, that's just, you look at Iowa State history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a lazy take. It's just giving you the facts.
Exactly.
All right. Let me see what Joey has to say. I think Nebraska may go after the BYU coach, either him or Tom Herman. Tom Herman's an interesting one. I could see that one actually making sense. Now, the BYU coach.
BYU's got a lot of money, so they might be hard pressed in outbidding them.
Yeah, and with them entering the Big 12 next year.
It's just like Mark Stoops at Kentucky. I don't know if they can outbid Kentucky because Kentucky's sort of getting a taste of success in football. So,
yeah. The same thing with Cincinnati. I don't think he'll leave there because of the Big 12. He's comfortable,
Right.
Pickle.
All right, let me see what else. What other comments we got here about this topic? Christian says if Kansas doesn't win at least 9 games this year, I don't think Nebraska will touch him with a 10-foot pole. If they do, the donors will not be happy.
I don't know.
If Kansas wins 7 games this year,
yeah,
I would touch him with a lot less than 10-foot pole. I'd be on that.
Well, think about this: if Nebraska would hire, if he would go and Nebraska would hire him, he would probably bring Jalen Daniels with him.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's I don't know. I know it's not Big Ten football, but I think he can play anywhere. He's a daggone good quarterback and athlete.
Absolutely, he is.
So,
yep. See what First Down Fishing has to say. Really hard to fit the run, puts the defensive end out of the game and gets you outnumbered on the perimeter like what happened to WVU. The thing is the motions and shifts to do that. Really hard to adjust. It is hard to adjust in game, especially if you're not prepared for it. And see, that first game of the season, they didn't show any of that. Now, the coaching staff said they knew they were going to run option. Yeah. They knew that, and they prepared for that, but they didn't know they were going to run that many different formations. and we've got pretty much all new faces on that defense, with the exception of like 2 or 3 guys.
And one of the leaders was out with Charles Woods.
Yep. So I mean,
Bigger deal.
And I'm not making excuses, because in my opinion, they should have done a better job of adjusting.
Yeah.
And the players didn't tackle well when they did have a chance, and they didn't cover well. So,
what about Luke Fickell? Do you think he would take that job at Nebraska?
I don't think so. Just my opinion. From everything I've heard and read about Fickell, is that he is not interested in any job other than Ohio State or Notre Dame.
That's what they said about Matt Campbell.
Yeah. So
Notre
I mean,
thinking about right now.
Apparently he's a big Catholic, real devout Catholic, and there's apparently a lot of Catholic schools in Ohio.
Yeah.
More than most places, I guess. And he's from Ohio, so he just Notre Dame obviously is a Catholic school, so that makes sense.
He
You
went
know
to
who the coordinators are out at BYU?
What's that?
The coordinators at BYU. If you couldn't get their head coach, you might be able to get one of their coordinators.
I don't look for Nebraska to want a coordinator. They're going to want somebody with some experience, at least in my opinion.
Well, what do y'all my number 2 guy, and I don't know what y'all would think of it, but I was always a fan, but Clay Helton, Georgia Southern, former USC.
Uh-huh.
I always thought he'd done a pretty daggone good job considering what he was put into, but I could see him going after him. I don't know though.
Yeah.
Well, he did just come in there and spank their ass, so
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean,
Lord Raiden agreed with you, JPC. He says, "Why the hell would you open yourself up to the mess that is Urban Meyer?"
yeah.
that's right. I mean, the dude will come in and win maybe a couple of years, and then it's always some kind of shady stuff going on, man.
Yeah.
Whether it's covering up for spousal abuse or groping some teenage girl in a bar somewhere, or kicking a kicker while he's down. There's always something, man.
Yeah.
TJ Fleming says Urban likes them young chicks.
He does.
Yeah, I think Urban likes all chicks except his wife. He's a piece of crap, man.
David Z, lazy take to say reach his peak. Well, we're back on that again. Look, man, it's just my opinion, bro. I mean, it's pretty much what you do a YouTube channel for, is to give you opinion.
Opinions are like buttholes, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry you don't like it, man, but
So since he's got a problem with the comment, then he needs to explain to us why he hasn't reached his peak. Let us know why so we can change our mind.
There you go.
no name here says people say Urban left a dumpster fire at Ohio State, but that's the complete opposite. He left the program in great shape. Obviously, they made the playoffs 2 consecutive years after he left. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he left. I've never said anything negative at all about Urban Meyer's coaching. I mean, the dude's won everywhere he's been. It's him as an individual I have an issue with.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Brian Kelly, he's a good coach, but he's a horrible human being.
Yeah.
Outside of football. So
yeah,
it's according to what you value, man. If you put football glory over human decency, yeah, go hire Urban Meyer. Go hire him, man. Go hire Ed Orgeron. You could have your big old shindig, orgy, whatever you want to have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nebraska isn't the job it was 20 years ago. It hasn't been for a while. I can agree with that.
Well, you know, they said that about Alabama when they fired Mike Shula, too. So.
Very true. They
It's
can
all
get
what you're willing to put up for, man. You got to step up to the plate, man.
I think we've all seen right now. You look around college football. Coaching is absolutely key to winning in college football. It's key. Coaching and a good quarterback. If you got those 2 things, you have a chance.
Yeah.
And if Nebraska can just get the right, they've just not had the. I think Bo Pelini. I think they should let Bo Pelini stay. Honestly, he wasn't doing bad there.
Yeah, he was going 9-3. I mean, I bet you wish they had 9-3 now.
Absolutely. But I mean, they just had their expectations were a little bit too high at the moment.
Going even further back, Frank Solich succeeded Tom Osborne. He was doing decent. I don't think they should let him go. Hell, he's got a football stadium named after him now with Ohio Bobcats.
Bobcats, yeah.
All schools want to win. It looks like David Z is just on here to try to argue with everything I say. That's fine.
Yeah.
Sounds like David's lazy because every single comment he says, it's lazy. Lazy.
But he never gives an explanation behind it.
He ain't got none because he's lazy.
Lord Radin says Nebraska traditionally okay, but no one you're recruiting today knows of a time Nebraska was good and relevant.
What?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. That's not a bad. That's a fair take, Lord Radin. But the fan base still knows, the boosters still know, and
The banners are still there.
Yeah, the banners are there. So that's a good comment, Dan. The banners. That's
Yeah.
The trophies are still like who was that recruit that said there ain't no trophies in here? That guy that was over the off season? There's trophies in that Nebraska trophy case. They're just old.
Yeah.
Going back to Alabama, Nick Saban, we went 17 years without a national championship. So
yeah,
could have said the same thing, man. It's just you got to step up to the plate, man.
Absolutely. Speaking of stepping up to the plate, I don't know that. What do y'all? I mean, I'm a big fan of North Dakota State football. I like to watch it, but Matt Ince is one coach.
Who?
I don't. In North Dakota State's coach.
Right.
Matt, I think it's Ince. Is it Ince? I think it's Matt something.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. I don't know the coach, honestly, the new coach.
There's the North Dakota State's rival, the Jackrabbits.
The Jackrabbits. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
I got a Jackrabbits hat.
Is that him? You're talking about North Dakota, right?
Yeah, North Dakota State.
Yeah. But he may. I'm just saying, these small schools that have a lot of success, the coaches. I don't know. I get tired of hiring and refiring these coaches that are supposed to be so good. Just like Jimbo Fisher, I never thought he was that good, to be honest. But maybe he is.
His last years at Florida State were pretty lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he won it all, he still, maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm trying to remember back. He still had Bobby Bowden's last couple of years of recruits, didn't he?
Yeah.
So,
a lot of people are high on that coordinator at Wisconsin for some reason. The Leonard guy, is that his name?
Yeah.
A lot of people are real high on him as far as the coordinator goes. So how much is it going to cost for your team to buy out Neal Brown? Could they pull a Nebraska in a couple of weeks if they lose to Virginia Tech?
I don't think he's going to get fired until after the year.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
What's the buyout look out? How's y'all's money look?
If they fire him right now, it's about $20 million.
Ooh, snap!
If they wait till January 1st.
Ooh.
The way his contract's set up, his buyout goes down every single day. Right? It's time. It's based on time. So at the end of every year. So basically, January 1st, it'll be $16.7 million. Right now, it's about $20 million, something like that.
What do you think he's got to do to keep his job? You think he's got to?
I'd say he needs to win 8 or 9 games, honestly.
You think maybe beat Virginia Tech, maybe that would soothe some people?
Maybe 7. He might get away with 7.
He's got to beat Virginia Tech.
And he needs to beat Virginia Tech because you lose to Virginia Tech and Pitt, and then add Kansas into the mix.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, because Tech and Pitt are our 2 biggest rivals.
Yeah, and Virginia Tech lost to Old Dominion, so they're not that great of a team, really.
Well,
shout out to Paul Riggs, by the way. He's another channel member. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Hello, guys.
Tech just come off a good victory against Boston College, though. So Boston College ain't good, but they got to win.
Yeah, Boston College probably lose to Old Dominion too, right?
I'm just saying, though, if Blacksburg's a heck of an atmosphere.
It is. I've always wanted to do a game there. I love Metallica, so.
Looks like there's some debating going on in the chat here with David Z and Joey Foster. I'm not sure what's going on. David Z says Joey Foster. That is what. Oh, that ain't the comment I was looking for. Good grief!
It's like Celebrity Deathmatch. Remember that show that used to come on?
I do.
We're going to take David Z and Lord Rayburn, put them in the ring there.
I'm trying to find the comment. He had a comment here a minute ago about the Cyclones, and I can't find it. I got so many comments on here I can't keep up.
Or Joey Foster. I don't think David Z will last though because he's too lazy.
He threw me a nice comment there earlier. He said he respected my opinion.
Well,
so, but anyway, I think he's an Iowa State Cyclones fan, so that's why he's taking not too kind to my comments, I guess. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fact. Iowa State's never had a 10-win season in their history.
No.
They've not been a historically winning program.
No, man.
So I mean, I'm not saying anything that's like Iowa State sucks. I didn't say that. They're not. They don't suck anymore.
Yeah.
But they have historically. That was my point.
Speaking of Iowas, what about the Hawkeyes, man? They're averaging 7 points a game, man. What's up with that?
Yeah.
And they got a predicament there too. Is he going to fire his own son?
I would.
They might make him.
I mean, hey, he must have a hell of a defensive coordinator though, because
Well, you know what he'll do what the Vikings did a few years ago. Instead of firing him, he'd just make a co-offensive coordinator. We got 2 co-offensive coordinators, so 1.
Yeah. David Z says West Virginia quarterback threw a really bad pick 6 across his body across the field. It wasn't across the field, first of all. He made a mistake. He left it inside. He did leave it inside, which you can't do on an out route.
you know what that is.
He also made 2 bad throws the entire game, David.
Yeah.
You know what that is right there, don't you, Couz?
What?
It's a lazy take.
I tell you the way I see things like that and judge things. Without JT Daniels, we weren't even in that game. So the fact that he threw a pick 6 and I mean, we didn't deserve to win the game to begin with.
No, we didn't.
Doesn't bother me a bit.
No, I've not heard one fan say anything about it because we should have never been in that situation in the first place.
No.
Yeah, I really believe that if Rodriguez hadn't done what he done and left, I think West Virginia would have contended for national championships.
I do too.
I think he screwed himself and
I
West
do
Virginia.
too.
Well, if you believe him and his version of it, then the university kind of screwed him, which he screwed himself and us. So, whichever.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. So
yeah, so it depends on which side you want to believe in that story. David Z says, Couz, I gave you a bunch of information about Iowa State and why I felt it was a lazy take to say the ceiling. David, I'll be honest with you, man. There's 50 people on here, and most of them are leaving comments. I can't keep track of them, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be mean, but
Well, here's the thing. Just because you say it's a lazy take doesn't mean it is. So it's just your opinion, just like we have our opinion.
and I would love to see I tried to find those comments, and every time I find one, it gets moved in the chat box because somebody else puts a comment in.
Yeah.
If he said, I respect everyone's take, you speaking my truth. And you feel free, if you want to make sure I see your comment, you can hit the super chat button, make a small donation, and it pops up and it highlights it for me so I can see it.
That's right.
Can we agree on one thing, though?
What's that?
Not picking on him, but aggravates the heck out of me when people say my truth. There's only the truth. There's no my truth. Aggravates the heck out of me. Sorry.
It's everybody's truth. It ain't just your truth. It's everybody's.
Truth is black and white. It's not an opinion.
Exactly.
Massive potential still at Iowa State. I really think Iowa State will finish with a better record this year than last year's 7-16. Iowa State has poured into the facilities. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I appreciate that info, David. I wasn't aware of the facilities and all that. So, and Campbell may not leave Iowa State. He might be perfectly content at Iowa State, but his name pops up for every single job. And at some point, he's going to either have to say, look, enough's enough. It's his agent probably putting his name out there. So
yeah.
I think Matt may have been spooked by the whole realignment thing too, because he thought last year probably that the Big 12 was going to go away and Iowa State was going to be stuck somewhere in the Mountain West or something.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right, I'm going to move over to West Virginia here real quick. Will Neal Brown make it through the season at West Virginia?
Yes.
Dan thinks so. Dan, I think you and I kind of disagree. Do you on this topic? Do you think Neal Brown should be fired or not?
Like right now or after the season?
After the season.
It all depends. I mean, if we go into Blacksburg, get beat there, and if we lose, I'm trying to think of what games are we. The facts of the matter is, we play like we did against Kansas, we're going to get beat about, if not every game, just about every game. If we lose all but 2, 3 games, yeah, he should be fired. But I don't think he's going to be, though. I'll be honest. The way Shane Lyons is talking, I think that even if he has the worst year that you can imagine this year, I think he's got one more year.
You think so?
I think so.
I heard us from a source, and I think it's a pretty accurate source that has. I have a friend who has a family member who works at WVU.
Yeah.
And according to them, after that game, Shane Lyons was pissed.
Yeah.
And he was on the telephone making phone calls. For whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
That's really all the person would relay is that he was getting out ahead of it and he was pissed.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. If you fire him, even after the season, who are you going to replace him with right now?
Well, that's one of the things I want to talk about. First off, Jordan Couz. Everybody, Jordan is one of the hosts of Country Roads webcast. He does a lot of great West Virginia content, so go check his channel out, his podcast. He says, yes, West Virginia traditionally just doesn't fire coaches mid-season. And I'm against that. I am normally against that.
Right.
But in today's recruiting climate,
that's right.
Signing day is in December. If you wait to the end of the season, you got a recruiting class you got to sign. So what do you suppose? You gonna fire a coach right in the middle of signing a recruiting class? I mean, I think now it's almost set up to where if you don't fire mid-season, you're behind the 8 ball.
You also let other teams get ahead of you as far as searching for a coach, like Nebraska.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
The next
West Virginia's they got the 15th most wins in college football. Man, there's no excuse why they can't contend for national championships.
Well, and that's what I see. A lot of our fan bases going, guys. We aren't out, or even it's mainly coming from outside sources. Really, not our fans, but a lot of people are. You guys are delusional. You guys think you're supposed to be a national championship. That ain't what we said. But we do. We, as a 15th winningest program of all time, we deserve to be competitive.
Yeah.
I think y'all got a higher winning percentage than Michigan State, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I have to look at the list.
Michigan State made the playoffs one year. So why couldn't West Virginia do it? Washington made it one year. So why couldn't West Virginia do it?
Yeah, exactly. We just need the right coach.
Well, I know there's a bunch of ifs, and everybody can say if, but if Major Harris doesn't go down in the first half,
that's right.
Game, we win. If we don't stumble at Pitt, we win the national championship. So there's two. 93, we undefeated. Should have went. Didn't get it. Didn't get snubbed. So traditionally, we've been able to recruit. So one of the hardest places to recruit. So, the ability's there.
Yeah, and I want to address this comment too. David Z says Iowa State has a QB that can throw a better ball than Purdy. Maybe so. Iowa State has the best receiver in the Big 12. Iowa State has a top 3 or 4 defense in the Big 12. Now, honestly, he is really good. I'm assuming you're talking about Xavier, and his name has escaped me. But yeah, I know who you're talking about, David, and he is a great receiver. But right now, Bryce Ford Wheaton's the leading receiver in the Big 12 through 2 games. And I would say Xavier Worthy at Texas has a good claim to that argument as well.
But who? Here's my thing about quarterbacks in college, especially. Brock Purdy was a winner, whether he threw the ball well or not. Is this kid a winner? I don't know. Tim Tebow was a winner. He couldn't throw the best ball ever. Pat White was a winner. He wasn't the best passer, but Brock Purdy was a winner, period. He was a gamer. So I haven't watched this new kid enough to know, but
I think Purdy actually elevated Iowa State. I don't think it's the other way around because Iowa State's not been a traditional powerhouse.
Right.
What about Bill O'Brien and all this? He done a real good job at Penn State when they was going through the Sandusky crap.
Yeah.
And he's coached in that area. He would be a good coach for either West Virginia or Nebraska. The offensive coordinator at Alabama.
He's at Alabama, right?
That's right. He's offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Xavier Hutchinson is the name I was trying to think about. He's the receiver at Iowa State. Xavier Hutchinson. Too many Xaviers. But yeah, as far as Neal Brown goes, I mean, I think. I mean, I don't like seeing coaches get fired midseason, but at the same time, I mean, look what happened when Dana left, like right at the first of the year, because that's when his buyout would go down, and he didn't have to pay us as much to leave, and that left us stuck, man. He had just signed a recruiting class.
Yeah.
So here come Neal Brown in after the recruiting class was already signed. I hate to see contract periods end at the end December 31st. They need to write them up to where they end like at the end of the season or something.
Yeah.
To where these coach September or not the end of the season, but I don't know. I don't know when you do it, honestly. I don't know what would be the best time.
So as a West Virginia,
middle of the year,
8-4, be good enough to keep his job?
Yes.
8-4.
I'll tell you why. And this is why I'm not for firing him, and I don't think he'll be fired unless disastrous 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Because the last 3 years, or maybe the last 2, you have to correct me, Couz, but we have the best recruiting classes we pretty much ever had. He goes out and he fits the culture, and Dana never fit the culture. And I just, as much as the fans may react week to week, I see Shane Lyons and West Virginia as a whole as being a constant, certain mood that they, like you said earlier, don't fire during the season. We maybe hold on to people too long at times, but
yeah,
I honest to God, think Neal Brown's a good coach. It's got to qualify on the field.
Yeah.
So, do you fire a coach after a bad season that's supposed to be a good season after he's brought in the best recruit you've ever had there?
Yeah, he's got to quit coaching scared too. I feel like he's coaching scared sometimes, like against Pitt.
Agreed.
On that 4th down, when y'all was deep in Pitt's territory and y'all were up by a score, y'all could have went ahead and put the foot on the throat. Y'all could have got that with the way your running back was running. Y'all could have got that yard, man. Put that game away.
Me and Couz was beside one another in the stands. We said the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, we were all looking at each other like, why didn't he go for it? Yeah, Justin says, what about getting rid of Shane Lyons as well? I had a lot of people are wanting him because he gave Neal Brown a contract extension with a guaranteed contract after going 6-4 and winning the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, what? 6-4 is not like a national championship. He has one of the highest buyouts in college football. Makes absolutely zero sense to me.
I have about that too, but
Hank says it's going to be very hard to get to 8-4. David Z says West Virginia is 6-6, and that it will be one hell of a battle. That David Z, you're right, and that's why the fan base is so. We knew. I mean, Kansas is one of those must-win games because it's you're favored. You can't lose the games you're favored in, man. In a Power 5 conference, you've got to win those games because it's an uphill battle the rest of the way. And that's why I'm not expecting them to get to 8-4. I predicted 8-4 at the beginning of the season. So that's why I think if he hits at 8-4, then I'm happy because that's kind of where I thought they'd be in the first place. But man, you still have to go to Texas. You've got Oklahoma coming in. You've got Baylor coming in. You've got
K-State.
Oklahoma State. I mean, Kansas State looks really, really good, which I predicted that they would play in the Big 12 title game before the season even started.
Chris Kleiman's the real deal, man.
And you just think about it. They almost hired Neal Brown over Chris Kleiman.
Really?
Yep.
Yep.
They did. Neal Brown, they wanted Chris Kleiman. Well, I don't want to say they almost hired him, but they interviewed him for the job. They wanted Chris Kleiman was their number one choice, but they interviewed Neal Brown anyway. And they said they were so impressed with his interview that they almost changed their mind and offered him a job. But they went ahead and stuck with Kleiman. Neal Brown interviewed, they said Neal Brown was one of the best interviews they've ever seen. He was extremely impressive in the interview process. That's why West Virginia hired him. I mean, I think they interviewed him. I don't even know if Luke Fickell interviewed. He may have turned down the interview. I don't know. But he either turned down the interview or turned down the job. I'm not sure which. But Luke Fickell and Neal Brown were the top 2 candidates for the job.
I saw a stat the other day, it's sort of off the subject, that Marcus Freeman was the first Notre Dame coach to ever lose his first 3 games because he lost that bowl game
Yeah.
You turn and lost first 2 games. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I hate it because it's hard not to like Marcus Freeman. He's such a likable guy. He's got the it factor. I saw that video when he got introduced as the coach and the players just went crazy.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to like a guy like that. Even though I've never liked Notre Dame, I've kind of started to respect them because of that hire, to be honest with you. But now I'm wondering if maybe it was the right decision. But I think Brian Kelly may have saw the writing on the wall and got out of Dodge, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I don't know if Freeman's ready for the stage, but I like him too. I don't know.
You do think he is or don't?
I don't know that he is ready for the stage.
Oh, I got you.
I think maybe he needed a few more years as coordinator or something. But maybe you're right, and Notre Dame's just not that good. They're usually overrated anyway.
First Down Fishing says that Brown got the extension because someone else was courting him. Yeah, there was rumors that he was being courted by South Carolina, but
they're happy with Shane.
Maybe you call their bluff or let him walk, man. No coach who's coached 2 years and has a 500 record deserves a guaranteed contract. I'm sorry, in my opinion. Unless they won a national championship or won the conference or something like that. But he was 500. He went 5-7 and 6-4. He was right around 500.
I don't mean that as cover for this year at all, but for what he had to work with after Dana, I think he done a hell of a job for the first few years. This year, but he had to build that team, from nothing.
Right, but last year he should have won at least 7. In my opinion, last year he should have won 7 games.
Oh yeah,
least.
Yeah.
We had how many games that we should have won and we lost? That's the problem.
Yeah,
there's a lot of similarities between what we're going through and what Nebraska went through. All those close games. It's exactly what we're dealing with right now. Neal Brown, I don't know. I can only think of a handful of close games he's won. The Virginia Tech game last year.
Yeah. Been a close game, by the way.
Huh?
Which shouldn't have been a close game.
Right, because we were up by, 2 scores, 3 scores, let them come back. So, I don't know, man. They keep making mistakes, and that's coaching.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about the Georgia and Tennessee being asked to cancel their non-conference games with OU and Texas? Do you think it's a sign that OU and Texas are going to leave early?
I don't think so. I think it's because the second game of that, it was home and home, and the second game of my understanding is, and I haven't had time to read up on all of it, but my understanding and what little bit I heard was the second year of that home and home is when they would already be in the SEC. Mm-hmm. So it made the schedule unbalanced.
I was thinking maybe ESPN dangled a carrot in front of the Big 12 and said, hey, look, we'll give you a good long-term TV contract if you let these guys out of their contract or their exit fee early so we can get them in the SEC to make that product better.
Yeah. Joey Foster apparently is an advocate of Neal Brown. He says, you just gave the exact reason why Neal deserves another year. 2019 was Dana's class. 2020 was COVID, so he has only had 21. Every coach in America went through COVID.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter to me. We weren't the only team that had to deal with COVID. 2020 was COVID, so he has only had 21 and 22. See,
Joey, behind COVID, they act like no.
Chris Kleiman has had 2-8. Chris Kleiman was hired the exact same year Neal Brown was. He's had 2 8-win seasons.
Well, yeah. What about the Baylor head coach too? What's his name?
Aranda.
Same thing.
He won the league in his second year.
Yeah.
Lance Leipold. I heard this phrase today. The cupboard was bare when Neal Brown took over. We all agree with that. Lance Leipold didn't even have a cupboard.
That's right.
He had to build his own cupboard.
Well,
that's Miles grass left over.
So I agree with Joey, and I was on that bandwagon. But when a coach comes in that's been there less than 2 years and whips your butt and out coaches you like that, that's a problem.
Yeah, it wasn't even a Kansas game for me. It was that 4th down call that I was speaking of earlier that really, I'm like, man, you're coaching scared, man. You got to coach to win the game.
And if you're an offensive player, especially if you're say you're an offensive lineman on that team, and he doesn't let you get half a yard.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
Graham Harrell didn't make that call.
I don't think he did.
Well, the thing is, they punted the ball, and Pittsburgh still went down and scored. So it served no purpose to punt the ball. I mean, whether they had it at the 20 or the 35-yard line, it didn't make a difference. They should have went for it.
When he explained his decision making, I get it. The hindsight's 20/20, but I would have gone for it. I understand what he was thinking. As being there, I get it, but at the same time, you just don't. Yeah, well, it was less than a yard, and we had C.J. Donaldson who could not tackle. Didn't
That's
want to.
right. He's been running over them all night.
Yes.
You think Dana Holgerson would have punted that ball?
No.
No way in hell he punts that ball. Rich Rodriguez ain't punting that ball.
No.
I'm not even sure Bill Stewart punts that.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin didn't punt the ball either. Lane Kiffin will go for it on 4th and 20.
I mean, Neal went for it on 4th down the other night, and the entire freaking crowd did a standing ovation.
Yeah.
JT Daniels had to go like this to get everybody quiet down.
I tell you what, Outlaw, I'll change my decision there. If we lose PAC, I say we fire Neal Brown in the season if you'll let Nick Saban come back home.
No.
Come on, man.
He's about used up, so I might let you do that.
I was hoping he'd retire before we have to play you guys in 2027 or whenever it is.
Yeah.
They'll prop him up on a scarecrow stick out there.
Yeah.
By the way, Outlaw, I'd be remiss if I didn't say your shirt is freaking awesome.
That's right, baby. The Ultimate Warrior, baby.
He was my
It's all
favorite
good.
wrestler as a kid, man. I ain't gonna lie. When he passed away a few years ago, I teared up a little bit, man. He was my childhood hero. He was one of my childhood heroes. Man.
That was crazy ironic, wasn't it? They let him come back and inducted him Hall of Fame, and he died 2 days later.
2 days.
It's crazy. And he died at the hotel where he was staying for the event.
Right. It might have been a day later. I
It
can't
was the
remember.
next day, I believe. He
I
fell
think
over of a heart attack outside the hotel where he was staying.
That's right.
It's almost like that was his, like, he's like, okay, I can die now, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is also a symbol of us, man. We're the ultimate warriors of the common people.
There you go. All right, Jordan Couz says, I don't think you can be mad at Lions because it hasn't worked out. The hire was literally nationally praised and called a home run by everyone. Only thing he did wrong was the extension. And I agree with that, Jordan. The hire was not a bad hire at all.
No.
Neal Brown was wanted by a lot of schools, man. He was on a lot of – he had interviewed for multiple jobs, is my understanding.
Yep.
But he was just waiting for the right one.
Sometimes it just don't work out, man.
Yeah. And look, even though I'm saying he should be fired and all this, if it don't work, we got to pump the brakes a minute and realize we still have 10 games to play.
Yeah.
These guys might go in the locker room, have a players-only meeting, and come out and look like a totally different team the rest of the season. We don't know. And
That's what I'm saying.
And maybe Kansas is just freaking good, man.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And nothing's a sure thing, man. Everybody thought Will Muschamp was the next big thing.
Yeah.
And he wasn't.
You're right.
So I'm not sitting here saying I want Neal Brown. I'm just saying if he doesn't turn it around this year, he needs to go. And if we lose to Towson this weekend, I don't know if they should even let him back on the plane.
Yeah.
But
we're going to have some Nebraska shit going on at that point.
And I'll be honest, Towson has a lot of guys who transferred there from Power 5 schools.
Really?
Well, FBS schools.
They're not as good as Georgia Southern, though, right?
Their quarterback used to be the quarterback at Maryland.
Maryland
beat Texas a few years ago. So they're not your typical FCS team. I don't.
We'll learn a lot in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How they respond and how they, because again, you go into Blacksburg, whether they're good or not. That's an environment like when we're up Pitt.
Well, we laugh at them, but Old Dominion is actually a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm.
They are. Yeah.
Well, Tech
beat Virginia Tech.
I watched some highlights of that Virginia Tech Boston College game, and I thought Tech looked pretty good. I mean, I don't know how good Boston College is, but they're a Power 5 team, and Tech pretty much dominated them. So Tech may not be that bad.
You're starting to see a lot of parity now.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think the transfer portal is actually kind of helping some of these smaller schools, to be honest, because you get a lot of these Power 5 guys that aren't getting to play a lot. They transfer down to a smaller non-Power 5 school and end up being good there and getting to play a lot and making that – they're probably still better than most of the non-Power 5 players, right?
Yeah.
So it makes that team better.
So do you think maybe I mean, you sort of discussed this already, but you think maybe Jimbo Fisher is having some issues with the Aggie culture, so to speak?
If not, he should be. I mean, they got up there and talked crap about people from Appalachia,
Yeah.
which is where he was born and raised.
It's a cult-like atmosphere down there, and Jimbo's been acting erratic all during the offseason, man. He made that comment about slapping Saban. It's just like, even for Jimbo, that's a little out there, man. I think there's something going on there, and you touched on the fact that he's from West Virginia. Maybe he just don't like the environment there, and maybe he would be better served going somewhere where he's making maybe just a little less money, but nevertheless still making good money.
Yeah. Art says, I heard Urban Meyer's a Nebraska choice.
Oh, man, quit talking about Urban Meyer, man.
Y'all gonna get Outlaw's blood pressure up, man. Neal Bogg says, Neal Bogg, thanks for hopping on, man. That's another new name that I haven't seen before. Scott Frost chills until December and then takes the USF job when it opens up when Jeff Scott is canned.
You think South Florida really would hire him, though?
He did good at UCF.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
You think that Nebraska or West Virginia could get Brom away from Purdue?
Not with Big Ten money. I don't see it.
No.
I don't see it. I'll tell you a name that I heard the other day, and I'll give credit to the 304 podcast for this name I hadn't thought about for a coach at West Virginia. If Neal Brown does get fired, Byron Leftwich.
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator at Tampa Bay.
Marshall fellow.
Yep. Marshall alum, so he's familiar with the state of West Virginia. He knows how. I'm sure he's familiar with. I mean, he's played against WVU, I think. I don't know if he played him or not. But anyway, he knows enough about the state. He understands the culture.
Yeah.
He's won a Super Bowl at Tampa Bay as their offensive coordinator. He's coached Tom Brady for crying out loud. Well, he's still coaching him today. So
surprised that they didn't pick Leftwich rather than the defensive coordinator.
Coach. My opinion is that I think Leftwich will hang out in the NFL and wait for. I think he'll eventually get an NFL job.
Me too. Yeah.
So
he'll be a head.
I think he'll be better off.
Every time you bring that guy's name up, man, I get that vision in my head of them carrying him to the line to get the ball, man. I'm not a Marshall
fan, but I have a lot of respect for Byron Leftwich, man. That guy was friggin' tough, and he was a baller, man.
Yeah.
As Gene Hickman in The Replacement said, he's got miles and miles of heart.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good movie.
It is.
Paul Rick says we have to fix the defense to win. Neal Brown fixed the offense and special teams.
Here's the thing about that. Now, I don't know that the defense. I mean, we had again Charles Woods. Besides Charles Woods being injured, we had a lot of youth in the secondary. I don't think they're bad. I just think they look tired, and they get confused at times. But I don't know that they. I don't know what went on, but they looked tired the whole game. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You remember the bowl game against Virginia when we lost Virginia?
I didn't get to watch it all because I was at a funeral, but that day, so it was kind of a blur. But
the defense reminded me of that because they went and partied the night before the Virginia game. They were tired. But I don't know that that's what they did. That's what it reminded me of. But I don't know what to make of it. I don't think we're bad on defense. I think they just didn't have a good game at all.
I think they were so overwhelmed by Kansas's game plan that they got frustrated, got in their own head, so to speak, and just
that's youth.
You know what I mean? They just got the word I like to use is discombobulated. They just didn't know what to do.
I've always wanted to ask West Virginia fans something. Why did y'all have a big-time rival with Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech, but the Virginia things never really happened that much?
I don't know. I can't answer that. We just haven't played Virginia.
You think there would be more of a rivalry, especially with where the names are, West Virginia and Virginia. Yeah. I know back in the day in history books and whatnot, there's a little thing, a little skirmish that went down.
It might be because Virginia Tech and West Virginia were in the same conference for so long, and they played each other so many times. And then they're both in Appalachia. Virginia is more eastern. They're in Eastern Virginia, and it's a totally different culture over there, man.
A little more snooty, right?
A little more what?
Snooty.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Matter of fact, their band made fun of West Virginia, the state of West Virginia, during their halftime game.
That's what I figured.
Which was, I mean, just absolutely classless, in my opinion. They're kind of like Texas A&M does. That's, but it'd be a great rivalry. I think it'd be, and we,
in basketball there for a few years, it was a good rivalry when I was.
We played in basketball several years in a row and had some really good games.
Yep.
Jordan Cruz says Fickle interviewed, turned it down because no Catholic schools for his family. That's what I had heard, something like that.
Trinity's up there. It's not Catholic. It's a Protestant.
It's too hard to fire Coach Brown. If you do, then you lose the recruiting class and transfers. And then you have to wait for new coach to get his players. And
that's my point. I think that I don't think he'll be fired this year, and maybe probably not next year unless something drastically goes wrong.
It's a big decision because you're potentially setting your program back another 2 to 3, 4 years potentially.
Yeah. Is it a pretty good recruiting class?
Huh?
Is it a pretty good recruiting class?
We're 30th in the country right now, and that's a misnomer, by the way. And I meant to address this earlier.
Good.
And I've said this myself. Neal Brown's the best recruiter we've had, but if you look at his recruiting classes, he's not really recruiting all that much better than the other coaches we've had. His class looks really – we were like in the top 15 a couple months ago. But by the time National Signing Day rolls around, we're back in the 30s again.
Yeah.
So, Dana was recruiting – I think Dana even had a class that maybe in the 30s at one time. But he was typically in the 40s and low 50s. And Neal Brown's been doing better than that. Now, I think his first class was like 50th, but his last two have been a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unrealistic for West Virginia fans to expect to be in the top 20 in recruit. I don't think it's unrealistic at all.
You don't think it's unrealistic or realistic?
I don't think it's unrealistic. I think that West Virginia should be able to finish in the top 20 in recruit.
Well, we got brand new facilities, which from what I've heard are some of the top, in definitely the top, other than Oklahoma and Texas, probably the best facilities in the Big 12. And they rank right up there than anybody in the country. So now the thing is that we just got those facilities a couple years ago, so they're still new. So Neal Brown's just now getting a chance to utilize those new facilities, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he'll start recruiting even better if we keep him there long. But the problem is, if you don't win, you're not going to get recruits either. So you know what I'm saying? It's a balance here. I don't know, man. It's just a tough. I'm glad I'm not the one making the decisions. All I can tell you.
Yeah.
He'd have been gone Sunday.
I never thought I'd see the day that Marshall beat Notre Dame before they beat West Virginia. I always figured that would be the game that West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting there in the stadium looking at the score, and I told my buddy or a friend of mine that was there that I ran into. I said, "If Marshall beats Notre Dame, their fans will be insufferable, man." I used to cheer for Marshall.
Yeah.
And since I started doing this, and I've had a lot more interaction on social media with Marshall fans.
Yeah.
Now, what y'all gonna do if they pull a Cincinnati and make it into the playoff?
Nah.
I don't know. I honest to God, it's hard for me not to cheer for them because they're a West Virginia school.
And I love their coach.
I do too. I actually said like Sunday, I think it was. I said I think we need Marshall's coach, but he's not experienced enough yet. I don't think.
Here's the thing about him. Yeah, he's not experienced enough, but his players play hard.
Yeah.
And that's something that's driving me crazy about Neal Brown.
We don't know how bad this Notre Dame team's going to be either. I mean, that could have been just a really bad Notre Dame team that they beat.
Could be.
I said right after the game too. What does that say about Ohio State, who just really barely beat them? They scored a touchdown late against them, but I don't know. It's a rivalry, I guess.
Shout out to David Z for the super chat. He did drop me a super chat. Thank you, David. Thanks for the hosting. Much respect and support. Thanks, man. I appreciate the support from you, and even though you insulted my comments, but you hung around and for more of the show.
That wasn't a lazy comment there. I like that one. That's not.
Thank you, David. Much love, man. Much love. It's okay for us to disagree, man. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not missing any other super chats or anything. Going through here.
Let me ask you both something. A pointed comment while you're looking there. I think I'm in favor of, again, unless something catastrophic happens. Not only do I not think he's going to get fired, but I think we should not fire him. At least this season, see how it goes. Probably next season. But if he were to be fired, are y'all for that, or would you? And who would you like to get him? You know, what's your top 5 or 3 for
West Virginia?
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't got to that yet. That's one of the reasons I want to do this show.
Yeah.
I've been hearing Hugh Freeze's name thrown out a lot.
Liberty.
Yeah, and I got mixed feelings about it because he's had some character issues too.
Oh yeah.
But it was a few years ago, and you know, I do believe in giving people second chances.
Yeah.
People do make mistakes.
I mean, but like Urban Meyer, he's been given 3rd, 4th, and 5th chances.
That's why I say I don't put Hugh Freeze in the same category as Urban Meyer.
I don't either. It's sort of like Lane Kiffin. You know, he had some issues, but he went to the Saban car wash.
Yeah, I
mean, went down to Florida Atlantic and he rioted himself.
These guys aren't human beings, and they are going to make some mistakes, and they're going to screw up once in a while.
Yeah.
So, you know, if he's corrected those wrongs, man, and he's, you know,
I think that if Nebraska doesn't go after him, I think West Virginia ought to go after Gary Patterson.
That's another good one. Only thing that would concern me about Patterson is his age. He's older, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be coaching anyway.
He's 62, but you might be able to get 10 years out of him.
But if he can, here's the thing though: if he can get our program back to a really good program again, he's going to leave it in good hands for the next guy, right?
Right.
And he can go out,
kind of deal.
He can go out as a retirement, planning it, and they can have somebody in line to take his place or something, right?
That's right.
It'd be a whole different transition.
Do you think he would leave the state of Texas though? Because I think he's coaching at Texas now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's just an analyst.
Yeah,
but he's not an on-field coach.
Leave the state,
huh?
You think he would leave the state because he spent?
I don't know.
There, he's got plenty of money.
There's a part of me that thinks that maybe he would want a chance to get back at TCU.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'd be a good old poking eye right there.
But at the same time, he can do that at Texas too. So I don't know.
That's why I said he was probably a candidate for the Nebraska job too.
Yeah, probably so. But the Hugh Freeze one does intrigue me. And I think, you know, Lynchburg, Virginia is not that far away. So that, you know, it's similar to Virginia Tech. It's a similar culture. I don't know where Hugh Freeze was originally from, JPC. Do you know that?
Hugh Freeze, I'm not sure about that.
I need to look that up. But I do. I mean, he's the guy. The guy was doing well at Ole Miss. He just got caught. Calling prostitutes on the company phone or something, didn't he, or something?
Well, yeah, he was ordering escorts for his players.
Oh,
that's what he was doing. He was basically setting up prostitution is what he was doing.
But wasn't he using the school's phone to do it? Huh?
Yeah, he was. That's how stupid. That was real. So it wasn't very bright. But what about Gus Malzahn? Would y'all entertain Gus Malzahn?
I mean,
yeah, but I don't see him leaving UCF. UCF is they're coming into Big 12 next year anyway. He's in Florida where he's got like four 4-star recruits already committed for this year.
Right.
He's probably going to be able to recruit better at UCF. As bad as I hate to say it, because he's in Florida.
Would y'all take
What's that?
What about Charlie Strong?
No, I don't want Charlie Strong. No, thank you.
I don't know. I'd have to do more. Why did he not work at his last 2 stops? That would have been my concern.
Texas, it was just Texas, I think, but he done pretty good at Louisville. I thought he was a pretty good coach at Louisville.
I like him as a person, but I just don't. He's too inconsistent.
He got caught up in some extramarital stuff too.
I tell you what, I would like to see. It would not bother me at all to see a defensive coach because the last 3 head. Well, I don't Stewart. Well, I don't know what Stewart was, but the last, other than Stewart, the last 3 head coaches we've had have been offensive guys.
We'll let y'all have Pete Golden if y'all want him.
No, you can keep Pete Golden.
Said you want a defensive coach, man.
No, apparently he's pretty darn good. So
who?
Pete Golding.
No.
You don't like him?
How long? Maybe I don't know if other people outside the state understand this, but it's pretty daggone hard to recruit at Morgantown. So even with the new facilities, I think it's harder to recruit there than it is anywhere in Florida or Texas. Or
y'all got a pretty tough geographical spot to put up there, man. Y'all got Ohio State and Pennsylvania around you, and
not
got the SEC over here and the ACC and then the Big Ten all around you, and you're just the Big 12.
And there's a big difference between Columbus, Ohio, and Morgantown, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Right. What's going on in the chat here? Something about somebody getting killed. What are you guys talking about? Sorry, I'm reading these chats. Make sure nothing's going on that get my channel get shut down.
What are you talking about? Someone got killed?
There was a stabbing too when I was up there, but I mean,
it was. I think it was a figure of speech.
Yeah, he was talking about someone getting killed or something. Or they fired somebody.
Oh, he called Uncle Lou Golden Blue. Oh, Dennis Haiti called Uncle Lou Golden Blue Dude's boy, and that didn't sit too well apparently.
Oh, yeah. They sort of mirror each other a little bit, but
oh Lord, you'll have Golden Blue Dude.
I think I don't call him what you call him. I call him Auntie Louise because his little sissy ass got caught up, I think, and got his 5th DUI or something.
Yeah. Joey says, I just don't want to start changing coaches and turn into Tennessee or Texas. I don't either. I mean, I'm not saying I want that to happen, and I've actually calmed down on the Fire Neal Brown talk the last couple of days. But we got to start seeing results, man. We got to start seeing.
When you lose 2 games in a row, especially Kansas, the way we lost, and I get it.
Yeah,
you lost a heartbreaker to Pittsburgh, and it wasn't an ideal situation. It would have been better if y'all had Towson after Pittsburgh. Same thing with Notre Dame. I think the same thing happened with Notre Dame. It was a heartbreaking game for them. They thought they had that game at one point, and then they didn't, and then they had to play Marshall.
Yeah. And to your point, I hate to be that guy, but we're 1 4th and 1 away, and from being 1-0 there, and probably beating Texas the next week, or Kansas the next week.
Yeah,
we're 2 plays away from being 2-0.
I wish y'all had to beat Texas for us because they almost whooped our ass.
Yeah.
Jordan Couz says, I'm hoping to see Jacoby Spells get some playing time at corner this week, and sounds like Moo has moved to safety and we'll see some time. Yeah, they got to make moves, man. If these transfers aren't getting the job done, and this is a perfect week to do it, right, against Towson.
If you ain't doing your job, the way you scare is put somebody else in. Absolutely.
Yep.
And that Alabama game, Texas game, man, that bothered the heck out of me. I was cheering for Alabama hard.
Yeah, me too.
Gosh.
Paul Rick says he agreed they look tired.
Them officials were bad on both sides, from Texas and Alabama. Yeah. They were the worst officials I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, you wasn't at the Pitt game. But they were, I agree.
Big 12 officiating, right?
I think it was it SEC officials at the Pitt game?
Yeah.
What's that? I'm sorry.
At our Pitt game, I think it was.
We never did. I never did hear. I never did find out who it was.
I did find out that it wasn't ACC or Big 12, but
it wasn't.
I think it was SEC, but I'm not factual. That or Big 10, I don't know.
Yeah, I've always been under the impression that when you're the road team in a non-conference game, you bring your officials with you.
Yeah,
that's what it's always been. But for some reason, they let the Big 12 officiate the Alabama-Texas game. I don't understand why they.
Now that's what I'm saying. It used to be the away team brought them, but now it's an unaffiliated group from a different conference.
Yeah, they didn't do that for us.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Uncle Lou got a DUI. Kevin, I'm not going to talk about this a lot. Since you asked a question, he got a DUI. It was like his 8th DUI or something like that. And was it not? Am I wrong, JPC? Wasn't it
something like that? 4th or 5th DUI.
Plus, he got like 4 or 5 other charges. Some of them were felonies. And spent some time in jail.
The video that I saw was him going somewhere to somebody's house to give him an address. They've been talking smack to him.
Yeah.
And he lost his noodle and decided to drive down there or something. And I guess he got pulled over with the DUI.
Okay.
Something like that.
But basically, the reason it's a big deal is because apparently, and I don't know, I've never met Uncle Lou. I've never been on his show. So I don't know the guy.
I wouldn't.
I've watched a few of his videos is all.
You ain't missing nothing.
But from what I understand, he bullies a lot of people. A lot of small-time YouTubers. He bullies them. It's flat out mean to them, right?
There's a guy named TikTok Chess. It's like a Georgia guy. He's real overweight.
Yeah.
And something ain't quite right.
Right.
And Auntie Louise takes advantage of that, and he bullies him and stuff like that. That's why he gets so much hate.
You think he'd have mercy on him since he's a Georgia fan, but
I know, right?
That tells you about him, doesn't it?
So people are pretty. So there's a lot of people that don't like Uncle Lou, and because of that, people are pretty much kind of rubbing this in that he got in trouble. Right. I'm not going to do that, but I will say this: what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life.
What you expect from hedge pissers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, if y'all don't like certain people in the group, please don't stop watching my live streams over it, whoever you are.
Someone don't like me.
I don't know what y'all. I don't know what y'all. I haven't seen all the comments, so I'm not going to try to take sides. But this product.
They don't like me, Couz.
Huh?
So they don't like me.
I don't know. He doesn't bully them. People troll him, and he coming back at him. Okay, I don't know.
He don't. He's a coward, man. I'll be honest with you. You want honesty, right?
Yeah.
So
that's all I'm giving you, man. Y'all asked the question, so we're just answering.
Yeah. I don't know because I've only seen like 2 of his videos. I've seen him go into other people's chat rooms and talk crap to them the entire time. To me, that's bullying. Maybe he's just doing maybe he thinks it's funny and he's doing it as a joke. I don't know.
Me and him had a brief encounter and he blocked me. So,
anyway, I got somebody. Golden Blue Dude's wanting to jump in. I'm gonna let him jump in if you guys are okay with that.
Sure. Hey, Outlaw, I heard somebody say the other day that see what you felt about it. That Alabama had JT Daniels instead of Young. That they would have beat Texas by 4 touchdowns.
I don't know. Probably lost by 4 touchdowns, right?
It's not my take. I was just what you think.
I don't think so. Man, it was just a bad day for Alabama all around. I mean, we lucky we won that game.
Yeah, I love JT, but I don't really know that much about Young. I watched the game, but he's certainly mobile.
Golden Blue Dude, I'm trying my best to send you this, man, but I'm struggling. Let's see.
He had a heck of a drive there at the end to win it, though. That was on him. Young, the quarterback.
They almost had a pick on Bryce Young there early in the game. That could have really made things bad. There was a lot of instances in that game that could have really
went bad.
Texas had their chances, man, and we're going to see what they do going forward because the last time they had a close game like that with Oklahoma, they ended up not doing anything with it. They ended up bottoming out and losing to Kansas and stuff like that. So we'll see how well they respond to a close loss.
Yeah. But you can be happy there. That when it mattered the most, he brought them right down the field and scored a touchdown. So.
Yeah, he did that against Auburn too. I mean, for some reason, we struggle on the road offensively. I don't know what it is about road games, but we struggle.
Is that just the last 2 years, or is that more than that?
Yeah.
Read that comment.
What? I can't see it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See?
Oh,
y'all ask questions, and this is what happens.
That is freaking hilarious.
Now, Tide Guy, there's a guy in here just now, one of Auntie Louise's flunkies. And he's getting his panties in a bunch. You're gonna make them lose their mind up in here. They're gonna lose their mind. They done wet their diapers. Poor
I'm not
old
gonna be able to do the rest of my show.
Uncle Lou don't bully nobody.
All right, I'm Dan, since you can't see it, I'm gonna have to read it. It says, talking about Uncle Lou, he says he had expired plates, no driver's license, evading police, his 4th DUI in Georgia, 5th overall. He is currently a tight end, but soon a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I feel guilty for laughing at that. Oh,
I would.
Oh, Auntie Louise is going to be a good old Auntie
I
Louise.
emailed you the link, Golden Blue Dude, by the way. Please tell me you didn't mean it. You want Gibson as a BC?
Tony Gibson.
Yeah, I like Tony Gibson.
I like him. I don't know.
But, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I've been seeing a lot on social media that we need to get rid of Jordan Leslie. Guys, our defense has carried our team for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Jordan Leslie is an awesome defensive coordinator. We had one bad game on defense.
Yep.
Now, I get it. If you fire Brown, you're probably firing everybody else too.
That's right.
But just to go out and say it's Jordan Leslie's fault is completely wrong.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Unless you fire mid-season like Nebraska, then you're stuck with the current staff. Is what you're stuck with.
Yeah. Golden Blue Dude's in the house. What's up?
What's going on, guys? I just wanted to straighten something out really quick. Me and Joey, we have talked about the situation with Uncle Lou, and we have decided to keep our channel strictly football and not talk about it one way or another.
Oh, okay.
So we haven't made any videos bashing him,
Right.
and we haven't made any videos defending him.
Right.
Okay.
That's
so
fair.
here's what I'm going to say. All right. Somebody that has issues with alcohol, okay, has a run-in with the law. That's their problem.
Right.
Okay? Everybody has issues, but also know that some people like to attack people as well. That's why we try to keep a distance.
Right.
And not label ourselves buddies or our boy or anything like that, like somebody in the chat was trying to do.
I get
There's
it.
a difference between defending somebody and saying nothing. We have said nothing. We have not defended anybody. We have not bashed anybody. We have said nothing.
Okay. That's fair.
So
I didn't even know what had been said. I just saw some.
well, there's this one person. Like
I know
again,
who it is.
I'm not attacking anybody, so I'm not going to say his name. Okay, that's not what this is about. I'm just clearing the air. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
So, person keeps. They kept bringing it up in the chat over and over and over, and I kept giving them a clear answer. No, not our buddy. No, not our boy. Keep coming back.
Well,
So I just decided to clear it up. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's fine. Just because, and you know, in your defense, you've been on the show a couple times, and that doesn't make you his buddy.
Right.
So I get it, but I think at that same time, the other person was probably not. They were probably just messing with you. I don't know that they meant it personally either. I don't know. I don't know what their intent
Well,
was.
I just wanted to make sure people understood where we stood.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's fine.
too.
Yeah. I will say this. I don't think it's okay for somebody to drive while they're drinking. I mean, you're putting people's lives in danger. That's serious. Like, that's not, getting a speeding ticket. That's not, running a red light. And those things are dangerous, right? Speeding. If you're driving recklessly, that's dangerous. Running a red light, that's dangerous. But driving intoxicated, that's way up.
Yeah.
I will never defend that ever.
Right. And I'm not either, but at the same time, like I said, I don't know Lou personally, so I didn't feel right. I didn't feel comfortable saying anything about him either.
Exactly.
I don't know him.
Me neither.
But I can't deny that some of these videos and stuff are hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I've seen some of the things he says to people, and it pisses me off. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I've distanced myself from him for that reason. But at the same time, I'm not going to come after him. I'm not trying to make meetings with anybody out here. I'm just trying to do my thing. And
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm not trying to make any financial gain on either side of the fence, bashing or defending. I'm not I'm playing football.
Someone asked a question about it. We answered it. Someone asked a question about Uncle Lou, so we answered it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That's all we did. But
No,
I
you
but
guys
I
are
but I
cool.
also understand you wanting to come on here and speak.
No,
your
this
mind.
everything that you guys have said. Good.
Okay.
100%.
Real quick before I introduce the new guest on here, I want to read this super chat from Tide Guy. 49 pesos, I guess. Whatever. I don't even. Is that really pesos, or are you just messing with me?
He actually lives in Mexico.
Okay, so
So
it is.
that's
pesos.
probably real.
And stupid me, I have no freaking clue how much that is, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But either
He's,
way, I
he
don't
just
care if
started
it's a
his
dollar.
channel.
I really
It's
appreciate the
good.
super chat, man. It means a lot. Tide Guy, I appreciate that.
So what I want to say is, if you like college football, then you'll like Golden Blue Dude. If you like drama, you won't like Golden Blue Dude, because all I talk is college football. I don't talk about anything other.
Yeah.
That's what gets me mad when somebody tries to put me on one side of the fence or the other. I don't care.
Yeah. Right.
I'm college football.
Right.
I think
And that's
the
what I
reason
try to
why
do the
you
same thing.
get, I think the
Only
reason
I
why
ever brought up.
you get, I think the reason why you get comparisons to Uncle Lou is because your show sort of mirrors his. He does
And
the
I
whole
don't even mean.
he
I
does
don't
the
even
whole he
remember
does the
that.
whole shade thing and walks around and all that kind of stuff. I think that's why.
Well, this is because the studio lights, and it's easier to edit whenever I'm looking at stats.
Yeah. I'm not interested in why you're doing it. I'm just telling you why they're doing it. Because you sort of look like him and act like him.
That's a problem then. Because I'm trying to be Golden Blue, not Uncle Lou.
That's what all these people are saying.
How many times have you seen me cuss in a show?
Does it matter?
0.
250, it's pesos. Thank you, Tide Guy. Like I said, I don't care if it's a dollar, man. The fact that you give me your hard-earned money means a lot to me, buddy.
Amen.
To
be fair, I've never heard of Uncle Lou before I watched Couz or Golden Blue Dude. So
yeah, they come running in here about 3 or 4 of them. We're talking about him, so we addressed it.
yeah,
that's all. I'd like to move on from it if it's all right.
Yep. Exactly. College
There's a few
football.
people in here there's a few people in here that like Lou and a few that don't, and I could care less either way, to be honest with you.
That's exactly why I came on. Exactly, right there. So I wanted to ask y'all, what about I know y'all touched on it before, but who do you think is the highest possibility of getting the Nebraska job? Like the highest?
I think my personal. Well, first off, Paul Riggs has joined us. Paul's another member of my channel. What's up, Paul?
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I got your hat on.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Cool.
Hey,
I didn't even catch
GBD.
that. I didn't even notice that at first, man.
Hey, Golden Blue Dude.
Yeah, buddy.
You don't cuss on your show.
Not once.
No, you're a good. You're
Well,
a good man.
excuse me. Whenever I say they eat shit pit, that's it. But that's a that's it.
that's us.
Yeah.
If you get insulted by an occasional cuss word, you don't need to be watching TV at all.
There you go.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, in comparison to Lou.
Yeah.
Hey, Couz.
Yeah.
I thought Golden Blue Dude was coming on here because he's still jealous we had better tickets than that Pitt game. I wanted to meet you there, but we couldn't,
Huh?
I was telling him we wanted to meet him there. I wanted to meet him there, but we were all the way down at the field. So
Yeah, I was actually wanting to meet several people at the Backyard Brawl, but
It didn't work.
for one thing, I didn't realize the layout of the stadium that just to get to the first level, you have to climb stairs. Like at Mountaineer Field, when you go in, you're at level, so you go down to the first level and up to the second. In that stadium, you're starting in the basement, and you got to walk up just to get to the first layer. It's crazy.
it was a different
Way
layout.
too much walking.
Yeah.
I want to answer. Guys asked me the same question twice. I want to answer it real quick. Dennis Haiti asked me what I thought about Jeff Traylor at UTSA. All I know, I don't know a lot about the guy, but all I know is they're a good football team and they're winning. So he must be doing a good job. I don't know enough about him to speak in detail on it. JPC, you might know something about Jeff Traylor. What do you know about him?
He's a pretty good guy. I heard he's got a pretty nice sized contract too.
Yeah.
The people in San Antonio are really pushing that program. They want to try to make it maybe push it into the Big 12 eventually. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
You know who I've heard from Nebraska as far as like way up there? Matt Campbell for Iowa State.
Yeah.
Like
Matt Campbell.
serious.
We were talking about that earlier.
I don't know if that's the right choice. I would put him at like top 5, yeah, but not number 1. But from what I'm hearing, they're really, really interested in Matt Campbell.
Well, the thing about Matt Campbell is he's coached in that same geographical region, so he knows how to recruit to that area, which would be a plus for Nebraska because a lot of people complain about Nebraska's geography and the weather.
Yeah. And Iowa State, before Matt Campbell, they were one of the worst football programs on planet Earth, kind of like Kansas State before Bill Snyder. So a lot of people were like, well, you know, he hasn't won a Big 12 title. He hasn't. You didn't see Iowa State before Matt Campbell. He's a miracle worker.
Paul, who do you think is the best candidate to get the job at Nebraska?
I don't have any clue.
Well, let me ask you about Neal Brown then, because I know you want to comment on that.
I want him to stay.
Okay. I
still think he's going to bring us around.
Okay.
I agree.
I say we do have to wait till the end of the season for Neal Brown. Like that's a no-brainer. You can't. And I know see a lot of people take my videos about Neal Brown to the extreme, and I'm knee-jerk reaction. And I openly admit it. Whenever I get mad, I knee-jerk react. It is what it is. But as far as the rational, smart thing to do, you have to wait till the end of the season at least, because there is time to turn it around. And the buyout does drop at the end of the season. So, boom, there's 2 reasons right off the bat to wait till the end of the season.
Paul, let me ask you this. Let's just say he goes, 4-8. Do you still think he should keep his job?
I think he should because of the recruiting class that he's got coming in. It's actually his first year of recruiting coming into the program, and I think he needs. I do. I think he needs to stick around.
That's fair. I mean, and you're right. It is his first full week because remember Bryce Ford Wheaton was a Neal Brown guy. Dante Steels was a Neal Brown guy. Sam James was a Neal. So yeah, we do still have a lot of Neal Brown guys on the team. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and
I mean Dana Holgerson guys on the team. I'm sorry, Dana Holgerson.
Right, but I just think this recruiting class, he needs a chance to see what he can do with it.
Yeah.
He's fixed everything except the defense, and normally the defense has been playing good. But there's when all those guys left, I mean, that hurt our defense.
Yeah.
And he's trying to bring in guys to take their place, and I think they just need some experience back there, and it's going to be tough for a couple games. I still think they're going to go at least 7 or 8 wins.
Okay, and I hope you're right. If they get 7-8 wins, then I'll be back on the Neal Brown bandwagon.
But I'm a fan, and I'm talking from my heart. You know,
I understand. That's fair, and I'm not as gung ho on firing him as I was 2 days ago.
Yep, I agree.
Calm down. You know, I come back to reality, but at the same time, I also recognize that you got Chris Kleiman winning games, you got Lance Leipold winning games, you got David Randall winning games, and they were all hired at the same time or after him.
Yeah.
So
the only difference I will say in defense of Neal Brown is the situation that Neal Brown walked into was far, far worse. You look at David Randa, they were only 2 years removed from that 11-win season. So, you know, he kind of walked into a pretty good situation. So I wouldn't really compare him to David Randa. But what I will say is this is year 4. And for me to feel good about Neal Brown, I think we have to go 8-4. Now, as far as being okay with not getting rid of him, bare minimum 6-6. Like that's me like strapping up my seatbelt and holding on tight. But to actually feel good about him coming back 8-4. And here's another thing. We do have to see how good Kansas is. I know, you know, this would be different if West Virginia was like, you know, I don't know, 3-5, and we were later on in the season and we lost to a one-win Kansas, kind of like what Texas did last year. That would be, this is early in the season, but at the same time, we were counting it as a gimme win. I think that's what's hurting everybody. Not very many people were expecting Kansas to beat West Virginia. So that's what hurts us the most. Now that loss has happened, okay, second game of the year, their offense looks pretty good. at the same time, our defense looked like they didn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe we just wait and see what Kansas looks like, as well.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. What does JT Daniels bring to that equation? If Neal Brown, I believe, again, he'll stay this year. I think he'll be here next year no matter what, at least for a few games. But if JT Daniels decides not to come back and go to the NFL, or because he can come back technically, so do you think he comes back? Does that have any weight on it?
It does. I would say that would factor into how I would feel about Neal Brown. If we go 6-6, like I said before, I can strap on the seatbelt if JT's coming back.
Yeah. What do you
I don't
think?
know if I can live with 6-6, man. I'll be honest with you.
Live with it? No. Get through it somehow with JT Daniels? Yes.
Yeah.
Because, there's no denying our offense is the best we've had under Neal Brown right now. It is.
Absolutely.
And even the two game-losing pick sixes for JT Daniels shouldn't have happened. The first one with Bryce Ford Wheaton was a perfect pass that he just didn't catch. He got tipped and pick six. The second one happened in overtime that the overtime shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So both of those interceptions shouldn't even exist.
Well, and I guess the one thing too is on the offense, we'll have most of our offensive line will be back again next year, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. We will be losing Bryce Ford Wheaton and Sam James, I believe, but we would have Caden Prather back, Reese Smith back, these young guys back who are supposedly pretty good that aren't getting a lot of playing time now because of Bryce and Caden, but they will.
I think if JT comes back, we'll get somebody in transfer portal too.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think Bryce comes back with JT, or do you think he tries to go too?
They'll want to be a target of JT Daniels. I promise you that.
No.
I don't know that they're going to pass up NFL money, though, if they have a chance. If Bryce Ford Wheaton continues on the track he's on,
that's what I'm saying.
He might be a first or second round draft pick.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about other, wide receivers that are. It's kind of like the Winston Wright situation.
You're talking about guys transferring in.
Yeah, transferring to West Virginia because of JT Daniels. Yeah.
My bad. I thought you were talking about Bryce Ford Wheaton and Sam James.
That was probably. So I was asking if JT comes back or not. I think Ford Wheaton comes back if JT does, but if JT don't come back, I don't know that Ford Wheaton comes back.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Exactly.
I got one more topic I wanted to touch on that I haven't even got to yet, by the way.
All right, I'm going to run, guys.
All right. Thanks for hopping on, man.
You do.
Sorry for any issues. My presence caused, I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Your presence didn't cause no problems, brother.
Hey, dude, you're all right.
Yeah.
Later,
Quit talking
guys. I appreciate it.
about.
Oops. All right. Somebody on here said they didn't like, and I lost it here, about Hugh Freeze being too scandalous. But we touched on that earlier. What he did was wrong. I agree, but it was several years ago. And as far as I know, he's not done anything since.
So that's going to happen there.
I believe in giving people second chances. Now, if it starts happening more and more, then no. But
yeah.
And WVU Fan 23 says the buyout is not an issue. The money has already been raised. It might be true. There's a part of me that thinks, and I've actually heard this too, that Shane Lyons is already putting feelers out. So that might be another reason. He might be waiting until he has an idea who wants the job before he makes a move.
He ain't doing his job if I'd say he put feelers out last year.
Well, he's always got a list. They say he always keeps a list of his top coaches that he wants. So, but I think he'll give Neal as much possibly. If Neal goes out and loses to Virginia Tech, the fan base is probably going to force him to do something, to be honest with you.
Well, think about this too. Neal Brown's his guy. He hired. That's
absolutely.
his. So
yeah, he wants him to succeed.
Yeah.
Let me go to the other issue I want to talk about. I heard today, just right about an hour before I started this, or 2 hours before I started this live stream, that it was on the there's two guys that do a podcast. I can't Arand and Marchand, I think's their name, or their last names. They do a podcast together, but they're both they study, they're sports analysts and they study the business side of sports and stuff. And they said that they're reporting that ESPN and the Pac-12 are hundreds of millions of dollars apart in their TV negotiations. Hundreds of millions apart, which they think will bring Amazon into the deal. Amazon's going to be interested in getting into the Pac-12 and airing games. So I just I thought that would be something interesting we could chat about real quick. If that's the case, do you guys think, Paul, I'll start with you since you haven't got to say much. Do you think that if that happens, if the Pac-12 gets a really low offer from the ESPN, do you expect to see a few Pac-12 teams jump to the Big 12?
I hope they do. But I'd like to see us get out of the Big 12 and go to the ACC.
Oh, God.
You just hit a sore spot with Dan. But
man, that's not a good idea.
Well, we need to go somewhere that we could dominate that ACC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you.
Y'all don't agree with that?
I don't disagree. I don't really have I like the Big 12 now because of the financial situation. I just don't know that the ACC is any more stable than the Big 12 right now.
That's true.
I look at it from two perspectives. If I'm looking at it strictly from a fan perspective, just a fan, I love going to the ACC because we get to play Pitt, we get to play Virginia Tech, we get to play Virginia, we get to play North Carolina. I mean,
Syracuse.
I can go to I can go to some away games easier than I can home games because I live in southern West Virginia. I can be to Wake Forest in two hours from my house. I can be to Blacksburg in an hour. I can be to, you know what I mean? So I would love it. But looking at it from a financial perspective and from what's best for the university, I think staying in the Big 12 is our best bet right now, even with the travel, because I just don't know how stable the ACC is going to be in the future. And their TV deal is not up until 2036. The Big 12 will probably have 2 TV deals before that.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have a potential to make a lot more revenue than they would in the ACC, in my opinion, and especially if the Big 12 does go out and add a couple Pac-12 schools. And I'm not crazy about adding Pac-12 schools because I know that's even more travel. But at this point in the game, I don't know that we got an option. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I hope they come and join us because we're going to get competitive.
Yeah.
We're going to kick some butt. We're going to beat Baylor, boys. We're going to beat Baylor.
I hope so.
Here's what I've heard a lot of people about the ACC, and the only thing I'll say, I've been there. I've done a lot of it. I was recruited in high school. I played football for a year or two, year and a half in college. Besides Clemson now and Florida State and maybe Miami now, since Oregon coach coming down, the ACC doesn't get the top tier recruit besides those teams, and it's already hard for us to recruit. The best place for us to be is the Big 10. The Big 12 is fine for now, but the Big 10 is much more stable. And I talked to several guys over the years that have been recruited, and of course my class years and years ago. People just don't want to go to the ACC to play football. To play basketball, yeah, but unless, again, the old school Florida State and Miami, and now Clemson. But besides that, you're just not going to get recruits. It's hard enough to recruit right now. So I would love to play Tech every year. I would love, because, again, I'm with Couz. I'm in southern West Virginia. Blacksburg's 45-minute drive. But it wouldn't be good for our football program.
Yeah.
For the basketball, it'd stay about the same probably. But for our football, it would kill it. I promise you, it would kill it.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I know a local kid from southern West Virginia that's in high school right now. He goes to school with my daughter. He's being recruited by both Tech and West Virginia. Okay. His dad went to Tech, so the kid bleeds maroon and orange.
Yeah.
Okay? But he told me West Virginia has done such a good job recruiting him, he's starting to fall in love with him.
Yeah.
They're doing a much better job recruiting him than Virginia Tech is. Matt Moore the offensive line coach drove 3.5 hours to Princeton, West Virginia to visit with this kid. Personally. Virginia Tech has not done that.
This is something I love.
And they're an hour away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
About Neal Brown is he started to recruit like Don Nealon did in the area. Where Dana Holgerson, we had so many kids out of Texas. I don't mind kids from Texas, but man, we're losing a lot of home kids when he was here. Yeah. So
real quick, thanks, Tide Guy. Another super chat, 49 pesos, man. I love it. Thank you, Tide Guy. He says, come to the SEC. Hey, I'd love to go to the SEC. But I don't, the only way I see that happening is if the SEC decides to go to 24 teams and maybe we can get in.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to ask Outlaw a question and he hopped off. But anyway,
that's where me differ.
I guess, what's that?
Me and you differ on that. I would rather go to the Big Ten than the SEC, but either one would be fine with me.
Well, I don't think the Big Ten's ever going to take us because of our academic standing, to be honest. Big Ten's very strict on that.
Yeah.
SEC doesn't really care as much. I mean, I'm not saying they don't care at all, but it's not as high of a priority.
Yeah.
Tide Guy talked about that, the AAU status, and West Virginia's not AAU. I mean, we might get there one day, but right now we're not.
Well, and again, West Virginia doesn't have a feeder school, really. They have WVU Parkersburg and I think WVU PAC and stuff, but they don't, a lot of schools, they get that AAU status by if someone drops below a certain GPA, they send them to, they don't move. They go to the same school, but they're in this school now,
Yeah.
They don't. So that West Virginia is for the state of West Virginia. Right. They want to get as many people as they can. So that's why we're not. We're a very good school, and of course I'm a graduate alumni there, so I will say that. But
well, no, it's true.
But I agree with you. Yeah, the Big Ten, but Nebraska ain't AAU, but they were when they went in, right?
Yes, they were when they got in, and then they lost it almost immediately.
Yeah. We'll see.
Mike Fort, thanks for hopping in, man. Even if you are trash talking, he says logical choice WVU to either MAC or Conference USA. Ferris Ace. Ferris, what's up, man?
Line up. We'll see.
Yeah.
Conference USA.
All right, guys, listen, I appreciate everybody hopping on here. We've been at this almost 2 hours. I'm sure everybody has to. What's up, Ordinary Guy? Hopping on last minute. Candyman, Todd Withrow. Sorry I didn't get to your guys' comments, but we've been at almost 2 hours, and I'm going to have to roll. Paul, thank you for hopping on, man.
Hey, no problem. Let's go to the Tech game.
Yeah.
I actually already have tickets to the Tech game.
Oh, you do?
I do. So if you guys go, we'll try to meet up.
I'll be there. Paul, give us a holler, man.
Okay. Y'all have a good one.
Good night, guys. Thanks you guys for supporting my channel, by the way, as members.
Absolutely.
Nice hat, by the way.
I like the hat.
It looks good. It looks good on you, Paul.
I'm just an old man that loves everything West Virginia.
I can tell, brother. I love your passion. I really do.
I do too.
Same with you, Dan. I love your passion as well, brother.
Yeah, man. Y'all be
thanks,
good.
everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat room.
Yes, sir, Paul.
For your support. And let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go. Right. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Yeah. I don't know
Thanks, Dan.
I don't know how to get off of here, but
you can just exit out. You'll be good.
Yeah.
I've already ended the chat, so it's just us talking now.
Oh, okay.